They tried to silence a voice that refused to break. In the heart of Africa, when injustice pressed down like an unshakable storm, one leader rose, not with weapons, but with unyielding courage. His people carried wounds of oppression, yet in their eyes burned the fire of unity. Every step he took was a gamble against forces far more powerful, and every decision pulled him closer to either glory or ruin. But in the face of fear, what truly defines a leader? Their strength or their sacrifice? Long before his name echoed through the crowded streets and whispered across borders, he was simply a son of the soil. Born into a land scarred by colonial hands and silent injustice, his childhood was shaped by the rhythm of struggle. Barefoot walks across dusty roads, nights spent under flickering lamps, and lessons learned from elders who spoke of freedom as if it were a dream just out of reach. As he grew, so did his vision. He was not born into power, yet his voice carried the weight of 1,000 silenced cries. In village gatherings and restless city corners, he spoke of unity, dignity, and a future where Africa would stand unbroken. People leaned closer when he spoke, not because he promised riches, but because he offered something far rarer: hope. But behind the smiles of his people lingered shadows. The chains of injustice were not gone. They had only changed their shape. Those who ruled with iron fists and foreign influence watched him closely, uneasy with his rising influence. His mission was clear, but the cost was still unknown. The stage was set. A leader of conviction standing against tides of oppression, unaware of how deeply the coming storm would test both his strength and his soul. The closer he drew to his people, the sharper the blades of injustice cut against him. Whispers of his growing influence turned into threats, and threats soon grew into actions. Soldiers patrolled the villages where he once walked freely, their boots pounding like warnings against the earth. His words of unity spread like wildfire, but for those in power, they were sparks that could burn an empire. At first, the resistance was subtle. Permits denied, meetings disrupted, loyal followers quietly arrested in the night. He told himself this was only fear lashing out, that oppression trembles most when it feels its end. But soon, fear turned to fury. One evening, as he stood before a crowd of farmers and mothers, rifles cut through the air. Shots scattered the gathering, leaving silence heavier than death itself. In that silence, a terrible truth revealed itself. The fight was no longer about words. It was about survival. Still, he pressed forward. Each challenge carved deeper into him, yet his resolve only hardened. When prisons swallowed his allies, he carried their voices in his speeches. When bribes were offered to buy his silence, he refused with the quiet dignity of a man who knew some prices could never be paid. And when enemies painted him as a traitor, he